feel free to ask away.
Okay, I've switched the cameras so that they can see me and you now,
Oh,
and
excellent.
they can also hear me, which helps. So, first question's from Tim. How heavy is MacFeegle Prime?
At last weigh-in, 3.5 kilograms. That was before I added an awful lot more servos. So put it this way, I can hold it with one hand, but
You don't want to.
I would not for very long now. It's not that heavy that it's sat on top of a laptop and I'm worried about it cracking the screen, but it's got to be in the region of 4 to 4.5 kilograms by now.
How does it handle slopes, and is it good for stability?
Yeah, it's rock solid. The massive block at the bottom is all battery, so it's actually got what is it? It's 3S6P, so that's 3 cells in series and 6 in parallel.
Wow.
Of the 18650 cells scavenged from various laptops given to me. Well, laptop batteries. Yeah, I massively overspecified that. I'm certain of it, but I'm hoping to use this as a platform for things other than Pi Wars as well. It's basically just given me a superb excuse to build something gloriously ridiculous, which I can't look at it. I can't argue that.
I think this might be a short circuit reference. Phil wants to know, where's his Mohican?
Well, the Mohican only came in after he'd had the fight, shall we say, which I'm not sure I could watch that scene again. One thing I will say is that there's a small hole there and a divot in the back of that, which is actually for the Mohican to be fitted at a later date. So rest assured, it is coming. And it's my girlfriend's mother actually gave me a random strip of a bunch of fibre optics from an old lamp. So I've actually made a fibre optic Mohican that's going to have NeoPixels under it.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, go big or stay
Absolutely.
home, or go big and stay home. I think at the minute. But
Leo would like to know where the laser is and where the hang glider attachment is.
the laser is actually currently right here. So I've got a little laser diode to go on the gun, which has run away. Oh yeah, there we go. So the gun is this. It was originally a Strife, which I think someone else has used as well. This is exactly as long as you can get away with, I hope. But it'll basically hold it in his left hand, and it'll just sit over his shoulder. It's completely overkill, but if you're going to have a robot with a weapon, it has to be comically oversized.
Oh, yes.
I mean, decades of watching various Japanese manga and anime has told me that, if nothing else. It's got to be oversized and ridiculous.
Hence the large eyes.
Yeah, the gun actually ends there, and that is all superfluous, but it looks cool, and that's the point.
Cool. Ryan would love to see the design of the tracks. Are they online?
Not yet, no. They're based on a design someone else did that is in my notes that I can't remember. And yeah, so as I alluded to in the video, they've got dots and dashes in there. And it has the message GNU Terry Pratchett. So the name is MacFeegle Prime. The actual narrative for the robot on the day was going to be what would have happened if Johnny Five, after being struck by lightning, rather than ending up with Stephanie, ended up with the MacFeegles on Discworld. So, I mean, there must have been some kind of accident in the high energy magic building at the Unseen University, but he'd ended up with the MacFeegles, and they'd have taught them the way of the world. So. And the Prime reference is actually from Megabots as well. So they had Eagle Prime, and I was looking at that to get an idea of how they attached the various weapons, which inspired the design as well. So yeah.
How long did it take to make?
Well, I was working on the arms until 3 a.m. this morning, but that's why I was a bit frazzled in the video. But I've been working on it on and off since just after I was accepted. I made a few prototypes by hot gluing parts to an old RC car, and so that was kind of the proof of concept. But by Christmas, I realized I was doing prototype after prototype after prototype and building on top of them rather than getting them working. So I think around just before New Year's, I realised it was in a mess and I needed to go back. I'd built up that much technical debt. I just had to start again. So I started from scratch. I made it modular. So there's the base of the chassis as one component, which bolts in to the upper chassis, which has a lid on it. And it basically meant I could prototype smaller parts rather than having to print the whole thing.
Right.
So yeah, but in total, well, yeah, since August.
Wow. Lorraine's asking, how is it going to pick up a barrel or push it or whatever?
Right, so the arms, which have been the most ridiculously complicated bit to design, are only used for, well, I suppose 2 challenges now. But the idea is that they have... Come on, robot, where's your hands gone? I've lost them. But basically, it's going to have a set of grippers that are very similar to Johnny 5, so 2 fingers and a thumb. And I've got a prototype here with essentially elastic bands on the outside, so they pull the finger taut, and it'll have a servo on it that just pulls. I know where his hands are. They're on the end of his arms, aren't they? Where else would you put hands? So, yeah, so the idea is that there'd be the thumb there, and it gets pulled in, and yeah, so it can actuate that way, grip it, and then pick it up. These are actually the same size as my fingers as well. I literally got a pair of calipers and went, yeah, that'll do. So it can pick up one of the barrels. And as you saw, it can lift the barrel, no problem. I actually had it holding a stepper motor, which weighs around 300 grams, and it was just holding it steady. So I don't actually know what the maximum payload is. But I think between the 2 arms, I might get close to lifting a kilogram. So I'm hoping to make him do push-ups at some point.
Cool. Done that one. Why did you decide to wire it up after midnight last night?
Because I'm an idiot.
Yep. What make and model are the joysticks?
Joysticks are from Robot Shop. They're whatever brand they sell. I'm not sure if it's a one they make specifically, but yeah, they're about 30 odd quid. You can get them cheaper on eBay, but I was buying them just as everything was kicking off in China, so everything was cancelled. Yeah. But Robot Shop, the specification there for all of the they've got mechanical drawings, and they list the limits of what degrees each axis can go in as well, so they're quite handy. And they've got a button on top, which means I can have different modes. So cool.
The Ross stuff. What's the latency between the signal sent and the message received? Was it instantaneous?
It's instantaneous, near as needed instantaneous. There's no noticeable latency I've seen from the controls, other than in the early instance where I was using strings everywhere. But yeah, now that I've switched to using floats from the source right to the destination, it's negligible.
Cool. The controller, it looks really heavy. You're going to have that on a lanyard or something?
Yes, so it's not too bad. It doesn't have any batteries in it yet, but I've actually got 2 holes in the side for the thermal inserts, threaded inserts that I use everywhere on here as well. And it'll have some kind of over-the-shoulder thing. I've also got one of the things with Stereo Pi is there's a Google Cardboard app for it. So I'm hoping to be able to actually have a live stereoscopic feed to the camera and be able to control it and get some kind of 3D depth.
Crikey.
No idea if it'll work, but it'll just be good for a laugh.
The messaging system, is it sort of similar to MQTT?
Yeah, very similar idea, but actually I've never used it. So I'm aware of it, but I don't know if it is a queuing mechanism, but this is just fire and forget. So if you miss a message as it goes through the bus, then you've missed it. There's no concept of queuing. Right. It's instantaneous.
Yes. How is does it control well autonomously?
I've not kept an eye on him at night, but honestly, there's no autonomy in it at the minute. Right. It's the sensors just I've just not got there yet. But yeah.
Okay. This is a technical question. Does each thing attached to the node network then run its own process on the operating system, and is multitasking an issue?
Yes, it runs as its own executable. In my case, they're Python nodes, but there's also some Node.js going on there for the web controller that I've not got working yet. So they each run independently as a process, and it's down to the operating system to schedule that appropriately.
Right. How did you speed up the parsing of the messages?
I removed the parsing completely.
Right. Okay.
Basically, the parsing was a terrible idea. It was just for debugging to start with. I knew I'd have to do something different in the long run, but having the microcontroller do as much work as possible and then just sending out the end results was a massive performance boost.
How does the Teensy physically connect to the Pi? Is it USB?
No, well, both actually. So in the controller, it's got a USB cable for programming, because I've actually installed the Arduino system on the IDE on the controller as well. But in order for ROS serial to work, it actually uses the hardware serial on the Teensy, because for reasons I don't understand, but I don't have to understand, you have to use the hardware serial on the Teensy for it to work. So
cool. How fast does it go? Is it a fast robot, or is it a very fine control robot?
Right now it's as fast as it is in the video. Right. So that was with the sticks flat out. I don't know if I can do some tweaks in the Redboard library. I'm not sure if I'm actually driving them as fast as I can, but it's fast enough. Well, I'm happy that 5 kilograms is moving around that fast rather than faster, if I'm honest. So.
The messages, what do they look like? Is it just like a string of characters with comma separators?
They're some kind of binary blob.
Right.
I'm not quite sure how it translates, but the ROS system itself actually has definitions and compiles them in some way for broadcast.
Right. This is the interesting one from Neil. Are you reading the dots and dashes so you know how far it's gone?
That might be a reference to the JPL Mars Science Laboratory. So that's another place I got the idea from. So they actually have JPL embedded in Morse code in the wheels of the Curiosity rover. And as they're driving along, they can use that as another indicator using the cameras to see how it's gone. I'm not, but it's certainly be an interesting idea. So.
Did you have this idea and specifically for Pi Wars, or was it a case of I want to build something that I can build on later and Johnny 5 is just cool?
Johnny 5 is just cool. In the early, literally I think a couple of days before I put the entry in, I was just drawing sketches, and it was either going to be Wally, because I give lots of room inside, or Johnny 5, and I was just umming and ahhing in between them, and then the idea of MacFeegle Prime came to me, and in fact I think I emailed you at about 1 a.m. one night saying, right, this is henceforth known as MacFeegle Prime, and that was it, done. So yeah, all very much ad hoc decisions.
Hey, don't worry, it's the intermediate category way. Cool. I think that is all the questions we've got. Tim wants to know, did it help us pausing Pi Wars?
I had the week off before Pi Wars to basically do hacking, and I ended up doing a bunch anyway. So it helped in that week because that was when everything was starting to lock down, and it meant that from a mental health perspective, I could actually breathe a little bit more and not have to just crunch 24 hours a day to get this done like I did yesterday. But, I never learn. So, yes, bittersweet, but kind of, yeah.
One more question from Paul. It's about you're using a compute module on the robot. Yep. Does it matter that it couldn't run the Adafruit servo driver libraries?
It mattered insofar as I'd probably have the hands working today if it did. But the plan to use a Teensy as an intermediary step to control the arms was a slightly longer term plan, which has been brought forward. So I'll use the Adafruit libraries for that, and then just have it communicate the same way as the controller does. So it's not a showstopper. It's just annoying because it would have been nice to get the hands working for today.
Sorry, one last question that's just come in. Are you going to add a gripper as, I don't know what an end effector is for one of the arms? Looks like it can support enough payload. I'm not.
Oh yes. Sorry.
I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, end effectors. With from a robotics perspective, that is literally anything that affects the world.
Right.
I think it's with an A. I can never really get my head around effect and affect. But yes, so it's going to have a set of 2-finger and a thumb gripper that can actually rotate and move up and down as well. So you've got lots of degrees of freedom.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions we've got. Thank you so much for your talk and for all the questions and all the answers to all the questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for giving me an excuse to do something stupid. So, it's
that's what it's all about.
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks a lot, and I'll sign off now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.